Bonjour de France. I've been in France a couple of days. I speak about 5 words of French, including je ne parle pas français, merci, s'il vous plaît, and that's about it. Currently in Rennes, which is the capital of Brittany, and we've already had some interesting accommodation challenges since we've arrived in France. I'll tell you about those a little bit later on once I get back to my apartment, but for now I'm going to try and find something to eat for lunch, so let's see how that goes. Okay, so when I see a sign like that, I would expect it to be a cafe. That is not a cafe. Man, check out this architecture. How cool is that? You don't get that anywhere in Oz. Okay, so I managed to order myself a pulled pork and coleslaw. It's not exactly a burger, but it was close to a burger bun. One of the things that I found is the French seem, on the whole, very modest about their English skills. The number of times that I've gone in and said, "Parlez-vous anglais?" and they say, a little. They then proceed to speak in basically perfect English, so they're doing a lot better than me on that particular front. Another thing I've noticed here is that a lot of the intersections seem to be kind of just everyone just going together, and cars try not to hit the pedestrians and pedestrians try not to be hit by the cars. You kind of just all hop in and hope for the best. Welcome to my Rennes apartment. I'll give you a little tour. Not a bad lounge room. Kind of regular comforts that you'd expect. Bedroom. Mum, you'll be pleased to know, nothing's changed. Messy as anything. Basic kitchenette. And yeah, that's, I don't know, that's, bathroom. The smallest shower I think I have ever used. But that's okay, right? I need a hot drink. Okay, so I told you earlier today that I am in France and have been for a few days. We came over on the Eurotunnel. Driving a car onto a train was an interesting experience. One that I probably could have videoed, but didn't. Anyway, it has been an interesting couple of days starting off in France in terms of accommodation. So we drove on the first day to a town called Rouen. If you haven't heard of Rouen, but you have heard of Joan of Arc or Jeanne d'Arc, you actually have heard of Rouen because that's where she was from, that's where she was tried and ultimately burned at the stake. But I digress. We showed up in Rouen and got to the Airbnb that I'd booked for myself and my host parents. And let's just say that the terrace apartment was perfectly fine in and of itself, but it wasn't exactly in the most favourable neighbourhood. It's the sort of place where you pull up outside and there's a car with its number plate bent in and its windshield smashed in. And then there was another car which was burnt out. So suffice to say, my host parents didn't exactly feel comfortable staying there. So we wound up getting last minute accommodation in the Novotel. That wasn't exactly the cheapest way to do things. When it's last minute, there's not a whole lot you can do. So that was the first accommodation mishap. And then from Rouen, we drove on to Rennes. And on the night that we were in Rouen, I had my Airbnb for Rennes for 3 nights fall through. So I then had to scramble to try and get some more accommodation. I reached out to another host overnight, didn't hear back. By lunchtime, still hadn't heard back, and this is now same day. And so I wound up booking this apartment for the 3 nights, which again was not the cheapest way to do things, but I checked the Airbnbs, I checked the hostels, and there was basically nothing else. So I'm glad that I actually found somewhere, but that proved to be an interesting experience. Then, tomorrow night, we were going to stay in an Airbnb there as well, but that didn't work out either. We left it too late, and so the places that had looked good on Airbnb had all been snapped up, and so we wound up booking into another hotel yet again. So these past 5 days of accommodation has not been the cheapest experience. So my recommendation would be book your things in advance. Book your accommodation more than 2 days in advance. But that goes without saying, right? It's not like that's news to anybody, myself included. I knew that I should have booked things in advance, but I didn't, and I ended up paying for it. So there was a bit of a saga as far as accommodation in France is concerned, but on the whole, France has been alright. The reputation that English-speaking people give French people about speaking English, at least in my past 4 days, has proven somewhat undeserved, I think. The overall attitude that I get from people is that they're more than happy to speak English to you. I think one of the big factors there is being willing to make an effort to actually attempt to speak the language, even if it's to say, I can't speak French. The number of times that I started a conversation with "Pardon, je ne parle pas français," and from there they would typically either ask English, to which I would always say yes, of course, or if they don't actually speak English, then they sort of get the idea that we're going to have to do this communication via pointing at things, which actually works quite well. You'd be surprised how few words you need in order to be able to buy a baguette. So that's kind of it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. Please like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I will see you soon. Bye!